Hey guys and gals, it's your buddy Drew from Living History's Mysteries and the Midwest Parahistoric Society. You know, one of the biggest hopes and prayers in the science community during the 20th century has been that hope that we would be able to develop time travel, to go forward in time, to see the things to come, to see the mistakes that we're going to make and try to fix them before we make them, or going back in time and seeing some of those errors of our ways and trying to correct them so maybe the modern day is a little bit more advanced or a little bit less of a challenge than what it really is. Physicists like Dr. Einstein developed theorem after theorem after theorem that time travel was possible. But you still have those people out there that want to argue the point. Today, we're going to take a look at 10 pieces of evidence that have occurred through history that point to the fact that time travel is possible. Make your own decision. You know, base it off fact, base it off a gut feeling. Me personally, I feel like there have been too many instances to not give it some serious thought. Let's check this out. It's pretty good. Catch you at the end.
Since ancient times, people tried to explain numerous miraculous things that exist on our planet. Many people to this day do not believe that one can travel through time, but the physicists seem to not agree with them. Even Albert Einstein claimed that people can take a trip through time. He recognized time travel as an idea that could be applied to his theory of relativity. The majority of such things have yet to be explained scientifically. However, there are still some phenomena that are hard to believe. We, and smart as the new sexy, believe that our adventure through time has taken the most serious turn. Let's look closely at 10 best examples it actually exists. The man from the year 2256. In 2003, according to Weekly World News Post, the FBI arrested a man accused of Security and Exchange Commission's violations. He was charged with making 126 high-risk stock trades. Every single trade he made was successful. Having only $800 as an initial investment, he earned $350 million through his numerous deals. After being arrested, he was interrogated by the police. Andrew said that he received the data from the future, and being a traveler from 2256, he knew all the information about stock trades. He took advantage of it. When asked, he refused to tell the location of the time machine for fear that the technology of the future could end in the wrong hands. FBI couldn't trace the origins of the man before 2002. No one knew where he came from. In 2003, a stranger paid a bail of $1 million for him, and Andrew Carlson was released. He didn't attend a court meeting where his lawyer was waiting for him, and disappeared since then. 9. The mystery of the 1940s time traveler. This photograph is also known as a modern hipster photograph. It was among the first ones that started all these time-traveling rumors. 70 years after the photo was taken, it took on a life of its own. Conspiracy theorists spun arguments for the existence of time travel. Photography enthusiasts disputed the photo's authenticity. This photo shows people attending the reopening of the South Forks Bridge in British Columbia in 1941. Among the crowd stands a man who is dressed absolutely not accordingly to 1940s fashion. You can spot a zipped hoodie, a t-shirt with a 21st century style logo, and a portable camera in his hands. Some people are sure he was a time traveler caught on film. 8. Sir Goddard's Squadron. One of the famous photos still promoted as a real piece of photographic evidence for time travel is known as the Ghost of Goddard's Squadron. Allegedly the spirit of a dead chap named Freddie Jackson. In the top row, if you look closely, you'll see that behind one of the sailors' head is a ghostly face. The photo album of Sir Goddard's Squadron, who fought in the World War I, contains one strange photograph. After the development of the photo, all the squad members recognized a person standing in the back row as their friend, Freddie Jackson, who died 2 days before the picture was taken. The squadron was photographed on the day of Freddie's funeral. However, he wouldn't miss the squadron photo. 7. The 17th century astronaut. The new Cathedral of Salamanca in Spain has a great surprise within its walls for those who seek the evidence that time travel exists. There is a sculpture of an astronaut on one of the pillars inside the cathedral. It was constructed between the 16th and 18th centuries in two styles, late Gothic and Baroque. However, this sculpture has nothing to do with both of these styles. How did it appear? The figure anticipates with amazing accuracy a form of technology not realized until centuries later. Interesting to know that the suit of the space traveler looks exactly like modern versions of what they wear in space. Does traveling back in time really exist? Or maybe there's another clue to this mystery. So far, no one knows exactly how it appeared there. 6. The Time Traveler.
I'm telling you, you shouldn't be here.
In 1950, a 20-year-old man with mutton chop sideburns and Victorian-era duds appeared in Times Square. Witnesses said he looked startled and disoriented, and then a minute later, he was hit by a taxi and killed. The officials at the morgue searched his body and found the items in his pockets that showed no signs of aging. A copper token for a beer worth 5 cents, bearing the name of a saloon, which was unknown even to older residents of the area. A bill for the care of a horse and the washing of a carriage, drawn by a livery stable on Lexington Avenue that was not listed in any address book. About $70 in old banknotes. A business card with the name Rudolph Fence and an address on 5th Avenue. When the police searched for some data about Fence, they found out that the man had disappeared in 1876. Spooky, huh? Maybe he didn't disappear, but traveled to the future through time. 5. The Man from Torrid. the most perplexing events of the 20th century happened in July 1954 at Haneda Airport, Tokyo. At the customs, a neatly dressed middle-aged Caucasian man told officials he was on a regular business trip. His primary language was French, yet he spoke Japanese and several other languages. He possessed a variety of currencies from various European countries in his wallet. When the officials asked him for his country of origin, things became mysterious. He stated that he was from Torrid, that is situated on the border between France and Spain. According to him, it existed for more than 1,000 years. The officials told him that it didn't exist, but he presented them with his passport that also showed visa stamps, proving his previous business travels to Japan and other countries. The company he was having a meeting with never heard of him, although he had copious amounts of documentation to prove his point. The hotel had no reservation for his name. The customs officials gave a room for the man, but the next morning everything got worse. The man completely vanished from the room, as well as his personal things from the airport's security room. Could this be a time traveler from another dimension? ADIDAS sneakers on a 1,500-year-old mummy. The discovery of the first complete Turkic burial in Central Asia revealed a 1,500-year-old mummy wearing the shoes that look very much like a pair of ADIDAS sneakers. COVID museum researcher B. Sukbatar says, "We can date the burial by the things we have found there, also the type of hat. It gives us a preliminary date of around the 6th century AD. In April 2016, the fashion-forward mummy was found wearing a pair of knee-high felt boots that are striped with a black and red pattern, featuring leather soles and decorative buckles. Along with her body, they also discovered a mirror and a clutch bag. Now, scientists have discovered that the mummy suffered a significant blow to the head before her death. Could this be an unlucky time traveler trying to come back and died trying? We'll never know. But we know for sure that this mummy had style. And apparently liked to go running. 3. A plane from the future. In 1935, Air Marshal Sir Robert Victor Goddard examined an abandoned airport in Edinburgh, Scotland. And there he experienced his fair share of supernatural. On the way home, he got into a storm and had to go back to the airport for shelter. He passed over an airfield in Dram, Scotland. The old airport seemed very lively and operational. He could see mechanics and 4 planes, each painted yellow, sat on the runway. On the landing strip, he saw a plane he hadn't seen before, although he was familiar with most of the plane types of that time. He stated that RAF had none of these airplanes in 1935. 4 years later, Goddard was sent to that airport again. He saw the same airplane that he'd been unable to recognize in 1935. The model was called Miles Magister. The production of this model began in 1937, almost 3 years after Goddard saw it for the first time. Is it possible that he visited the future for several hours and returned back in his time? 2. A time portal in Versailles. In 1911, Moberly and Jourdain published a book that caused a sensation and was subject to much ridicule. Charlotte Ann Moberly and Eleanor Jourdain, the 2 authors of the book, claimed that they traveled in time while visiting the Palace of Versailles. It should be noted that they both work at St. Hugh's College in Oxford, so their words should be taken seriously. On the 10th of August 1901, they traveled by train to Versailles. While walking through the gardens, they missed a turn and found themselves on an unfamiliar path. At this point, they claim that a feeling of oppression and dreariness came over them. Moberly and Jourdain saw people working in the garden, walking beside them, but the dresses appeared to be old-fashioned. There was also a man who slowly turned his face, which was marked by smallpox. The expression was evil and yet unseeing, and they did not feel that he was looking particularly at them. After this, they approached the main entrance and joined their group of visitors. Several months later, they decided to write their encounters separately and compare. Every piece of memory was the same. On their next visit to Versailles, they didn't experience anything similar. According to their portrayal of a man, he looked very similar to Marie Antoinette's close friend. In their book, both ladies claim that they had more paranormal experiences after the incident. Could this be a time slip they got caught into and saw ghosts from the past? One, the Hutton-BRANDT Premonition. In 1932, journalist J. Bernard Hutton and photographer Joachim Brandt went to the Hamburg Altona shipyard area to do a report. They saw a glimpse of the future during their routine assignment. They came back scared and shocked, telling everyone about the air attack in the city of Hamburg. Brandt claimed he took photographs of the place. Mind that the war didn't start for another 7 years. However, when he developed the photos, there was nothing on them. Neither the signs of an air raid nor any other kind of attack. 11 years later, Hutton read information in a London newspaper about the bombing of Hamburg called Operation Gomorrah. We don't know if it was a coincidence, but Hutton claimed that he saw exactly the same attack in 1932.
Hey everyone, Knight here. The topic of time travel has always been fascinating to humans. It's probably due to the fact that we are just as fixated on the events of the past as we are of the future. Just imagine traveling to the past, or imagine someone from the future showing up through a portal in your home. I will be telling you 5 stories of creepy interdimensional travel. Each of these stories will follow up with the time travel caught on tape. Enjoy. In this first video, it appears to be a portal appearing. The video is captured on a vehicle's backup camera. The portal begins opening as a horizontal swirling mirage appears in front of a concrete wall. 2 males come walking out of the portal. Then a second portal opens and 1 male walks out. The person that captured this video claims to believe it's 100% true. You see for yourself. In 2006, as Carol Chase McHenley was driving from Paris, California, back to her home in San Bernardino, she claimed she decided to stop in her hometown of Riverside. It didn't take long, however, for Carol to realize she wasn't in the right town, although its geographical location was correct. She claimed she couldn't find her childhood home or those of her other family members. In fact, she didn't even recognize any of the houses, even though all the numbers were still correct. Even the cemetery where her grandparents were buried was just a fenced lot full of overgrown weeds. Was she simply in the wrong town? This would be a strong theory had she not found some landmarks that were familiar, such as the college and the middle school. However, her relief in finding something recognizable was short-lived, as she soon noticed the eerie vibe surrounding the Riverside residents who were walking around. She soon left. afraid to approach any of these sinister beings. Carol believes she had stumbled upon a parallel dimension in which Riverside was a much darker place. Her story can't be confirmed because when she returned to Riverside a few years later for her father's funeral, it had reverted back to the town she knew as a child. She never encountered the alternative dimension Riverside again. At this soccer match, the camera will pan up to the crowd. In the crowd, you can see an individual running at high speeds through the stands. This is thought to be a time traveler warping into a portal. Check it out. In July 2008, a well-educated 41-year-old woman named Lorena Garcia woke up in her bed on what seemed like an ordinary day. However, as she went on with her normal routine, she claimed she found small details that seemed peculiar. For example, her sheets and pajamas were different from what she had remembered wearing to bed. She resolved to brush off the curiosity and drove to her place of work, where she had been employed for 20 years. However, upon arriving at her department, she realized it wasn't actually her department, despite being in its usual location on its usual floor. Having decided that something weird was definitely going on, she returned home only to find the man from who she says she had separated 6 months before, who acted like the separation had never taken place. Her new lover, who she claimed she had been seeing for 4 months, was nowhere to be found. Even after hiring a private detective, his whereabouts remain unknown. There was no trace of him at his alleged residence, nor any traces of his family. While it seems more likely that Garcia's perceptions are the result of some neurological malfunction, she believes she woke up in a parallel universe. Unfortunately, for the alleged dimensional traveler, Garcia has not been able to return to her normal universe, leaving her stuck in a dimension where she doesn't belong with a boyfriend she can't get rid of. In 2006, a Swedish man named Håkan Nordqvist thought it would be a good idea to climb under his sink when he crawled into a portal and momentarily traveled to the year 2042. He was able to meet his 72-year-old self and capture video. Look at the matching tattoos. In May 1972, 4 girls were allegedly driving back to Southern Utah University after spending their Saturday at a rodeo in Porgy. While crossing the desolate Utah-Nevada state line at around 10 p.m., they came upon a fork in the highway, where they veered to the left and began driving through Gallatin Canyon. Suddenly, the black pavement turned into white cement. Believing they had simply taken the wrong turn, the girls headed back to the way they came. But to their surprise, they were suddenly driving past grain fields and ponderosa pines with no desert in sight. They decided to stop at a roadside tavern to ask for directions, but quickly changed their mind after one of the girls began screaming hysterically. 4 egg-shaped vehicles mounted on tricycle wheels with bright lights shining from the top of them began speeding after them. The petrified girls sped back through the canyon as the white cement changed back to its normal black asphalt, leading them into a familiar desert. After wrecking at a creek, leaving them with 3 flat tires, they waited until morning to hike to Highway 56, where they flagged down an obviously skeptical state trooper. As outlandish as their story seemed, the tire tracks they left are difficult to explain. The only tire tracks left by the girl's Chevy ended abruptly only 200 meters into the desert, which leaves the mystery of how the girls ended up over 2 miles north of the highway with no physical evidence of their travels. The car was also missing a hubcap that was never located. Maybe it got lost somewhere in the Utah desert, or maybe it was being displayed at a museum on the parallel Earth. In the CCTV footage, you can see a young man walk across an interstate intersection in the early hours of the morning. A vehicle that is not paying attention drives head-on into the man. The man appears to drop into a portal and away from the danger of being hit by a car. Stone forest lies in the Andes Mountains in Lima, Peru. The stones are almost like sculptures, taking eerie shapes like human faces, but no one is sure how they formed. As if that isn't spooky enough, the real mystery is the possibility of a dimensional door that is said to be located in the forest. According to Dr. Raul Rios Centino, an investigator of the Unexplained in Lima, a patient came to him about her extreme case of hemiplegia, a disorder that results in a complete loss of motor function in half of the body. When he inquired about the woman's condition, she revealed that she had been camping with friends in the Markawasi. According to the patient, they had gone out exploring late in the night and happened upon a torch-lit stone cabin filled with dancing revelers in the 17th century attire. The woman said that she felt an otherly world pull toward the cabin, but she was yanked away by one of her friends before she could fully enter. The accident left the side of her body that had entered the cabin paralyzed. Her test results revealed no discernible cause for her paralysis. Centino believes the woman experienced a dimensional shift, producing a change in her nervous system's energy flow. Many natives, as well as scholars, believe that the dimensional doorway exists in the stone forest of Markawazi, which the woman and her friends may have unknowingly crossed. Hemiplegia may not be a great consolidation prize, but had she not pullen away, the woman may have been lost forever. This piece of footage shows a woman what appears to be talking on a cell phone. The thing that makes this footage very creepy is that cell phones were not invented for another 60 years. She displays all the same mannerisms as someone talking on a cell phone. You take a look at the footage and decide for yourself.
Welcome back. Like I said at the beginning, physicists and scientists for years have been saying that time travel is possible. Some countries, like Russia about a decade ago, claims to have even achieved time travel, sending a small dog 1 minute into the future. Is it really possible? Has it already happened? Have we been visited by distant ancestors from the future that have come back to experience history firsthand? Is time travel just a form of entertainment 500 or 1,000 years from now? Can you pay a certain amount of money and hop into a machine and travel to the Civil War or the cowboy era to see the shootout at Tombstone, or to see the first man land on the moon? God only knows. But I guarantee it will be a subject of controversy for years to come, until the right person just materializes in front of the right person, and the proof is right there. But that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you for checking this out. It's always fun. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. God bless you. God love you. I do. Well, you know.